Okay. Hello, everybody, and let's see here. Okay. Let's just first make sure my microphone is working. It looks like it is. I'm going to move myself though, because I've got some information going on the bottom left. So today, first of all, thanks for coming to my virtual town hall. It's been a minute since I've posted one. I have been very busy. Tonight's agenda, we're going to talk about our campaign, the ballot access update, right? Then we're going to talk about some of the other candidates. The primaries are coming up, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about other questions and anything you want to discuss as well. So let's start with my campaign, where I'm at right now, what we've been up to, and where we're going. We have been very focused on gathering signatures these past few months. Apologies. So we have been going to farmers markets. We have been up in the UP at Bridgefest. We were down here in Traverse City for Cherry Fest. We've been all over this first district collecting signatures to get on the ballot. For clarification, as an independent candidate, I needed to get minimum of 3,000 signatures, and we did that, which is amazing. Thank you, volunteers, and everyone signing. You all were wonderful, and I could not have done it all without you. So again, thank you so much. You're amazing. So yeah, as long as the Bureau of Elections, which I just turned in my signatures a couple weeks ago, as long as the Bureau of Elections doesn't find fault with too many of my signatures, I will be on the ballot in November, for the general election. So that is very exciting. That is an achievement on its own. So amazing, and yeah, I'm very excited about this. So I'll know for sure about around when the primaries happen if I'm on the ballot or not. So I'm kind of just taking it easy. Want to discuss, key issues and stuff. But for now, just focusing on the primaries and the candidates. Since I'm not in the primary election, we can kind of just take a view from the outside. My intention is to kind of take just an external viewpoint of the candidates, what their views are on certain things. I made a little slideshow. I hope you enjoy it. I had a good time making it. It was kind of fun. But let's get to it. Okay. So I put together a few different issues and then did a little comparison as to kind of where people stand. This is the US House for US House of Representatives, right? And I've got Republicans, Democrats, myself. I'm just kind of setting myself here as somewhat of a I don't remember the word I'm looking for. I'll remember it later. But just something to compare to. And then I've got all three Republicans that are going to be on the primary, and then all three Democrats that are going to be on the primary. Jack Bergman is the incumbent. Matthew Donater, Justin Michael are running against him. Then we got Callie Barr, who was in the general election last election cycle, and then Kyle Blomquist and Wayne Stiles, who are both challenging her as well. But first up, we've got members of Congress from trading ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks. So how this is going to go is I went through their websites, I went through public media posts, I went through a lot of different things to try and find basically a completely reliable, they said this or they said that. Like, they either agree, don't agree, or there's, conditional support as well. So we're going to start with myself, I guess, or let's start with why it matters, right? So members of Congress can shape laws that affect financial markets and may have access to information unavailable to the public, sorry. So a stock trading ban is intended to reduce conflicts of interest and protect public trust. So my biggest issue is the conflict of interest, right? If members of Congress are trading stocks, that in its own right is a conflict of interest. So I fully support banning it, and a few of these people also support it as well. So Jack Bergman, he was a co-sponsor and a yes vote for HR 7008, which bans purchases of stocks for members of Congress. This is actually a very recent one. Um, I I believe there is more in that bill that kind of made it a little more a touchy subject for some people. Um, and then it also, let's see, permits disclosed sales. So it bans the purchases, but I don't believe it banned the selling of, or sorry, you could still hold on to the stocks you had, so you didn't have to get rid of the stocks. But so he's basically a yes, he supports banning members of Congress from trading individual stocks. Matthew Donater could not find anything. Justin Michael, same thing. I couldn't find anything on his website talking about this. Callie Barr, in a candidate interview with Leland on News, she completely agrees. Same with Kyle Blomquist. His was on his policy page. And then Wayne Stiles, through another candidate interview, had conditional restriction, which I have in my notes. I don't know how this is supposed to work, but basically, Wayne supports banning members from trading stocks while serving on committees that oversee those industries. So it's a little more complicated. I personally think that it makes more sense to simply ban it completely. There's no reason that members of Congress need to be able to trade stocks, and it's a blatant conflict of interest. So I see no reason to keep that, available. So again, yeah, the question mark is no position was found. So like they don't have anything posted. It's neither a yes or a no. It's just we couldn't find anything talking about it. So our next one is overturning Citizens United. Citizens United was a Supreme Court decision that allowed corporations, unions, and other organizations to spend unlimited amounts independently influencing elections. So they can create advertisements for their preferred candidate. They can do all sorts of things. It's unlimited spending, which, as many of you know, you can only donate to a campaign up to a certain amount. Here in Michigan, it's $7,000. You can't donate more than that. But if you're a super PAC or APAC or other different PACs, you are not given that limit anymore, which a lot of people take issue with, myself included. Kyle as well believes that Citizens United should be overturned. That would take a constitutional amendment, and I am in full favor of this. Could not find anything about it for Jack Bergman, Matthew Donater, Justin, or Callie. Again, Kyle supports it. He has it on his campaign policy page. I have it on my campaign stances page. And Wayne has he supports reforms responding to Citizens United. He doesn't state specifically that he wants to overturn Citizens United, which is the reason he gets a orange square instead of a green check mark. If he was a little more straightforward, I would consider changing that. But, and again, Kelly, Justin, Matthew, and Jack, they had nothing on their websites or any other social media that I could find that talked about Citizens United or what they would do. There are some of these I have personal experience, like talking with Wayne and Kyle and Justin, who were at a lot of the public forums that I was at. The 11 forums that were happening in April, March, all across the 1st District. So I've got a little bit of experience talking with them. And if I have heard them bring these up and can confidently say that they have said something in person, I'll bring that up. But this hasn't really happened for this one. I think the next one, maybe the one after it comes into effect, but we'll worry about that later. So the next topic is increasing the federal minimum wage. Why does it matter? The minimum wage hasn't changed since 2009, and it's still at $7.25 an hour. So supporters of an increase argue that full-time workers should earn enough to cover basic living expenses. I am one of those supporters. While opponents argue that a federal increase could raise costs for employers or reduce jobs, that is ridiculous. The minimum wage it needs to be at a point where people can live. Like, people work to live. I think we've gotten into a point where people are working to survive right now, and that's not okay. We need to get out of that mindset and make sure people can actually live a good life. If they're working 40 hours a week or more, like, they should be able to live a decent life. I don't think that's a wild take. I don't think that's a completely outrageous ask or anything. So, myself, on my stances, I have stated that I support this. Jack Bergman, from what I found, he has voted against the Raise the Wage Act. That was a bill to slowly raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I don't know the fine details of this. I'm sure we could look it up if we really wanted to, but yeah, he voted against it. Again, there could have easily, keep in mind, any vote on an act, like, I have not done extensive research on these acts, so I don't know all of the fine details. So take this with, a grain of understanding that he voted against this, and this is what I was to understand as a way to increase the minimum wage. There could have been more reasons that he voted against it. I did not see any public response stating why he voted no, so that is as much information as I have available. Matthew, Justin, and Callie, they all do not have anything that I could find on their websites or other medias or anything. So they are left with question marks. And Kyle and Wayne both are in favor of increasing the minimum wage. Next, we have ranked choice voting. So this is a movement that fully took hold in Alaska. There are still people trying to get rid of it. Probably the people who didn't want it in the first place, but it's very popular there. New York, you saw bring choice for some of their elections. And here in Michigan, there was a movement to try and get it on the ballot so that we could vote on whether we wanted this or not last election cycle. And then they didn't get enough signatures, but it's been slowly growing more and more in popularity. And there's also a lot of people who don't fully understand what it is. So ranked choice voting is a method of voting to allow voters to rank their candidates in order of preference. And a lot of supporters argue that it gives voters more choices, reduces the spoiler effect, and helps ensure the winner has broader support. So, and opponents argue that it makes elections more complicated, but it's not that complicated, and I do think it would greatly support the idea of getting away from this two-party system, which I have a lot of issues with. A lot of other people have a lot of issues with it. I think we should be trying to move away from the two-party system as much as possible. Variety is a very good way to, move forwards. Okay. Okay. Oh, I moved it. So, how ranked choice voting works is, say there's 3 candidates. You vote for, you pick which one is your favorite. So say is A your favorite, C is your second favorite, D is your third favorite. If no one has if none of those candidates have a majority, the person with the lowest number of votes gets eliminated, and those who picked that candidate as their favorite, your second choice will now be counted instead of your first choice. So it's a great way to, like I said, reduce the spoiler effect, right? So there's no way to split a vote in this instance. There's no way to, there's no danger in voting who you truly want to be on the ballot, because if that person is the lowest number of votes, your second pick will be counted, and so on. I fully support this. Jack Bergman does not support this. He's a co-sponsor of the ACE Act, which was to prohibit ranked choice voting in DC. Again, that's just in DC, and it's the ACE Act. If you want to know more about it, feel free to look it up. We can also look it up together. That's totally fine. Matthew, Justin, and Callie, I couldn't find anything about. Kyle Blomquist does support this. He has it. One of his interviews talked about it, and then I actually heard him in person just recently talking about it and how he supports that. Wayne Stiles, I couldn't find anything on any of his information talking about it, so I'm going to put them all up as a maybe. Next, we've got universal healthcare. So, right now, a lot of people, millions of Americans, face high premiums, deductibles, medical debt, and difficulty accessing care. I've talked to a lot of people who have a lot of stories about not being able to pay for care and being worried about just visiting the doctor because of how much it's going to cost. And that's not any way to, we should be able to live without worrying about things like this. So universal healthcare would guarantee coverage regardless of income, employment, age, or location. There are different methods for this, and some of the candidates have different means of going about this. So I support universal healthcare. Callie Barr and Kyle Blomquist support Medicare for All, which is a type of universal healthcare that basically just expands what we already have, which is Medicare. So instead of just the elderly, it would slowly add on the rest of the age groups as well. There are a couple of ideas out there that say, like, the next 2 years, you'd add on another age category until everyone is covered. And then Wayne Stiles has on his platform says that comprehensive coverage for every American. He does not say Medicare for all. He doesn't say universal health care, but from what he's saying, we can kind of understand that he does want everyone to be covered. Jack Bergman doesn't really have any statements on it. Matthew Donater has a healthcare plan, but it doesn't state anything about universal coverage. And then Justin Michael as well doesn't have anything stated about universal coverage. I believe the Jack, Matthew, and Justin are very fond of the private companies. I think Justin's mentioned something about increasing competition, things like that. But I don't believe that something that is health saving like this and like a key part of life should be a for-profit industry. I just don't think it should be for profit, right? There's no reason we should be profiting off of people's suffrage, off of their suffering. I think Medicare for all is great. I am also open to other alternatives. I just want to ensure that everyone is covered and that people don't have to worry about, paying a bill every time they think about going to a doctor, right? I want them to be worried about, getting stuck with a needle when you're getting shots, not how much that's going to cost. So, yeah, single payer, universal healthcare, through the government, through taxes. And something that I've heard recently that I really enjoyed is that we already pay for healthcare, right? So people commonly ask how a universal healthcare would be paid for, but we already pay for healthcare. Whether it's us paying for it with premiums, or if it's our company or our employer paying for it, we already pay for it. And so if you get it through your work, now they have more money to pay you directly, because they're no longer paying the premiums. So it's really not going to change anything. If anything, it will be cheaper overall because it's no longer a for-profit industry, right? If the government takes over, we'll remove the profit motive, we'll remove the, insurance companies making billions of dollars. Taking that out of the equation makes it cheaper for everyone. So, I'm in favor. Next up, we have Social Security payroll tax cap and the elimination of that cap. So, Social Security payroll taxes currently apply only to a yearly income, up to a yearly income cap. So, at a certain point, earners above that amount are not taxed. So I think I'm not even going to try to guess because I'm going to say the wrong number. But up to a certain point, everyone is taxed the same. And above that point, people who make more than that do not contribute any more than they already have. So what a lot of people, and myself included, think should happen is the cap being eliminated or raised. I think it should be eliminated completely. That way, people who are making the most money are also contributing the same as the rest of us, percentage-wise. It would severely help strengthen the long-term security of Social Security, right? And yeah, there's a lot of concern about Social Security running out in the next decade or two, And this is just one of the ways that we can help make sure that that doesn't happen. So I support it. Jack, Matthew, and Justin didn't have anything publicly stated. And then Kelly and Kyle both support it. These are hyperlinks to their websites. So if people want to look at this, reach out to me. I might post this somewhere so that people can look at it. Not sure how I want to do that yet, but we'll deal with that bridge when we get to it. And then Wayne also hasn't posted anything. This is one of the times where I have heard him express in person that he would like to remove the cap or increase the cap. I don't have anything that I can point to where he's put it on his website or anything, but I have heard him in person talk about this. It's a very common topic at forums that we've been going to. So now, if anyone has any questions, if anyone has any comments, I would love to hear them. I haven't seen anything in the chat yet, but if you would like to comment, feel free to comment on this. If you are watching this after I've already posted it, feel free to leave comments and I'll get to them as I do. And then my questions for you guys, right? What topics would you like to be added in future candidate comparisons? Because I'll probably do one for the general election. And then, did any candidate position surprise you? Is there anything that you think wasn't represented fairly or completely? And then what questions do you still have for me and the other candidates? So if you have any of those answers, feel free to reach out. Yeah, comment on this video. And I will be happy to answer any questions that come my way. So, and then again, the primary is coming up very soon. So if you haven't voted already, I encourage you all to really look up the candidates, see what their public positions are, stay involved, right? These are very important decisions that we're coming to. So I want you to be involved as much as possible. But yeah, so I'd love to hear from you. And for anyone who is watching or has or is watching this in the past, thank you. And question from Richard Featherly: what are the best ideas you have heard about dealing with poverty? So I think the increase of minimum wage is a good start. Everyone is minimum wage is a good start, and then universal healthcare is another very good method to dealing with poverty, because a lot of people, they have low wages, high cost of living, and high medical bills. So that other part, cost of living, right? That comes to housing, that comes to energy, and both of which here in Michigan we have very high rates. When it comes to energy, right, we are dead set on fossil fuels for some reason. Well, we know the reason. They've lobbied and they've bought our politicians to ensure that fossil fuels is the only thing we look at. There are cheaper alternatives already out. Renewable energy is already cheaper than fossil fuels. So if we provide local renewable energy, that will create jobs, and it will also create a more financially secure source of energy to reduce our energy rates and to make it so that we're not importing fuel, whether we're piping it across the Mackinac Straits or driving it across. There's a lot of great ways to reduce how much we're spending on just living, right? Because that's the biggest thing, is just surviving is expensive right now. So trying to cut the property, or the create more housing that is financially accessible to everyone is another great way to mitigate this. Kind of bounced around there, but I hope I answered your question. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. If you want me to go to any of the previous slides, I can. And yeah, I'll give you a couple minutes. And if not, then I will probably just wrap up for the night. But again, I am more than happy to answer any questions or comments that you might have. Cool. Okay, well, thank you for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. I will be having another town hall in 2 weeks, so every other Wednesday from here on out should be accessible for me. Yeah. See you guys later.